On a foggy December day in 1991, 18-year-old Nicola Payne stepped out of her boyfriend's home in Henley Green, Coventry, a young mother with a simple plan: a 5-minute walk to her parents' house to pick up clothes for her baby boy. But somewhere on the desolate black pad path, shrouded in mist, Nicola vanished, swallowed by a mystery that's haunted her family for over 3 decades. A scream in the fog, 2 shadowy men, and a trail of clues that led nowhere. Her disappearance remains one of the UK's most enduring cold cases. What happened to Nicola Payne, and who holds the key to the truth? Welcome to Crimes That Haunt Us, the channel where we dive deep into the most unsettling cases. If you enjoy true crime content like this, hit subscribe and join the community. In the heart of Henley Green, Coventry, Nicola Payne was a beacon of youth and promise, a spirited 18-year-old whose life brimmed with love and new beginnings. She embraced her role as a devoted mother to her 7-month-old son, Owen, her days filled with the tender chaos of nappy changes and lullabies, shared with her boyfriend, Jason Cook, in their modest Winston Avenue home. Nicola's laughter echoed through the neighborhood, her love for music and dancing lighting up local gatherings, while her nurturing spirit shone in the way she cared for Owen, planning a brighter future with dreams of a new house. A young woman with a heart full of hope, Nicola's life was a tapestry of joy until a fateful walk on December 14, 1991, tore it apart. The fog hung heavy over the quiet streets of Coventry's suburb Henley Green, a thick, suffocating shroud that swallowed visibility whole. In a modest home on Winston Avenue, 18-year-old Nicola Payne kissed her 7-month-old son Owen goodbye. She left him in the care of her boyfriend, Jason Cook, with a simple plan: a 5-minute walk to her parents' house on Woodway Close to hand her father a pair of keys and grab baby clothes and food for Owen. It was a routine errand, one she had done countless times before. But on this day, the fog wasn't the only thing lurking in Henley Green. Nicola stepped out into the haze, her figure fading as she crossed the black pad. A desolate wasteland path, a shortcut through the heart of the neighborhood. She never reached her parents' home. 5 minutes turned into forever, and an immediate alarm gripped her family. Nicola Payne had vanished into the fog. West Midlands police descended on the black pad with urgency, their boots crunching through the frost-bitten ground of the wasteland. Sniffer dogs strained at their leashes, noses to the earth, while a helicopter buzzed overhead, its blades slicing through the fog in a desperate aerial search. On the day Nicola vanished, a dog walker named Patrick Carter came forward with a chilling account. Around midday, as he walked his regular route skirting the black pad, he spotted a figure lurking in the bushes. About 6 feet tall, well-built, wearing a brown waist-length leather jacket. The man seemed to shrink back, as if hiding, sending a jolt of fear through Carter. Moments later, Carter heard a car engine nearby and passed a metallic blue Ford Capri with distinctive alloy wheels and a body kit, parked ominously close. Then, about 20 yards past the car, a sharp, female scream cut through the fog, coming from the direction of the bushes. Carter asserted it wasn't a child's scream, the volume too piercing, too raw, a sound the prosecution would later argue could only have been Nicola's. Then a chilling report came in. A local resident called the police, their voice trembling. They'd heard a scream, a woman's scream piercing the silence of the black pad around midday, only to stop abruptly as if silenced by force. The witness's identity remains hidden, their words logged in early police records, but the fog and the isolation of the area left no one else to confirm the sound of terror. And yet another witness emerged the next day, December 15th, during door-to-door inquiries. This witness claimed to have seen 2 men in the black pad wasteland at the same time Nicola disappeared. Described as being in their 30s or 40s, one possibly wearing a dark coat, their faces were obscured by the fog, their actions unclear. Were they predators lying in wait, or mere passers-by? As suspicion swirled, Nigel Barwell and Thomas O'Reilly, local men with ties to the area, were questioned by police on December 16th, just 2 days after Nicola's disappearance, their alibi scrutinized amid the chaos. By December 17th, both were arrested on suspicion of abduction, a bold move that set the stage for a decades-long investigation, though early evidence proved too thin to hold, and they were subsequently released pending further inquiry. These early leads were tantalizing, hinting at abduction and struggle, but they dangled just out of reach, unproven, unsubstantiated. As the search yielded no trace of Nicola, no clothing, no personal items, no signs of a struggle, the Payne family's phone began to ring. Anonymous calls, cryptic and unsettling, poured in. A man claimed to have seen someone carrying an individual who appeared drunk along a roadside, describing the figure as wearing a big coat with a mustache. The lead was vague, a shadow in the fog, and police couldn't trace the caller or verify the sighting. The trail went cold, leaving more questions than answers. The initial flurry of police searches, the sniffer dogs, the helicopter, the desperate witness accounts faded into a deafening silence. John and Marilyn Payne clung to hope, their eyes scanning every shadow for their daughter, while baby Owen, now in Jason Cook's care, grew unaware of the mother he had lost. The anonymous caller's tale of a man in a big coat lingered like a taunt, but with no body, no evidence, the investigation ground to a halt. In April 1996, a new tip reignited hope. West Midlands police received word that her remains might lie buried in the garden of a property on Woodway Lane, just steps from her parents' home in Woodway Close. For 12 grueling hours, officers and forensic specialists tore into the earth, likely using ground-penetrating tools and manual digging, desperate for a breakthrough. The Payne family held their breath, praying for closure, but the garden gave up nothing. No human remains, no clothing, no trace of Nicola. The excavation was a devastating dead end, another cruel blow to an investigation already mired in frustration. For nearly 5 more years, the mystery of the black pad festered in the shadows, until a new tip-off in June 2001 dragged the cold case back into the light. This new tip-off sent police to the Oxford Canal in Anstey, a village 10 miles from Henley Green. The canal's murky waters were a perfect hiding place, a potential disposal site for a body that refused to be found. Divers plunged into the depths, boats skimmed the surface, and forensics teams sifted through sediment as the canal was dredged. The operation was meticulous, but the result was the same. No body, no clothing, no items linked to Nicola. Then, in September 2001, hope reflickered once more when bones were discovered near the Black Pad, the very wasteland where Nicola was last seen alive. Forensic specialists pored over the remains, using anatomical examination and DNA testing to determine their origin. But the flicker of hope was snuffed out. The bones were animal, not human. On the 1st of November 2007, after years of stagnation, a new lead jolted the investigation awake. A 37-year-old man was arrested in Derbyshire on suspicion of abduction and murder, a significant development that sent shockwaves through the case. He would have been 21 at the time of Nicola's disappearance, a plausible age for involvement. Detectives interrogated him in a Derbyshire police station, probing his every word for a connection to that foggy day in 1991. But the evidence was thin, and he was released on bail, leaving investigators grasping at shadows once again. 4 months later, the 37-year-old man walked free, released for bail with no charges filed. Police had scoured his statements, his alibis, and any forensic links, but without a body or direct evidence, they couldn't hold him. The absence of Nicola's remains remained the investigation's Achilles' heels, a recurring theme that left the Payne family reeling. Another glimmer of justice had slipped through their fingers. Between June 11 and June 12 in 2008, police returned to Winston Avenue, the street where Nicola's fateful walk began, armed with new information, or perhaps a re-examination of old leads. They excavated the garden of a specific house, forensic teams working over 2 days, possibly using ground-penetrating radar to detect anomalies beneath the soil. The air was thick with anticipation, but the ground yielded nothing. No remains, no personal items, no evidence of Nicola. The investigation's frustration deepened, another search ending in despair. Then, 4 years later, between 19th and the 21st of June 2012, a fresh tip-off led police to 2 locations in Coventry: parkland off Purcell Road in Courthouse Green and the back of a property in Miles Meadow, Bell Green. In Courthouse Green, 30 officers descended with specialist equipment, metal detectors, trained dogs, X-ray technology, joined by scientists from the Home Office Centre for Applied Science and Technology, a sign of the operation's forensic intensity. The Miles Meadow Garden search was equally thorough, likely involving excavation and soil analysis. During this period, 2 men, a father and son, were arrested: a 74-year-old who would have been 53 in 1991 and a 45-year-old who would have been 24 at the time, both from Coventry. They were charged with conspiracy to prevent the lawful and decent burial of a body, a chilling accusation that suggested they may have helped conceal Nicola's remains after her death. But the 74-year-old was released without charge shortly after, and by August 2012, charges against the 45-year-old were dropped, the evidence too weak to proceed. Despite the arrest and extensive searches, no significant findings emerged, leaving the case as cold as ever. On the 21st anniversary of Nicola's disappearance, West Midlands Police joined forces with her parents, John and Marilyn Payne, to launch a public appeal. They sought to identify 2 men seen near the black pad on the day she vanished, the same men reported by a witness back in 1991. The appeal sparked 25 new leads, with callers offering potential sightings and suspicious activity in the area. Detectives chased every tip, but none led to a breakthrough. The 2 men remained phantoms, their identities and involvement a maddening mystery. On December 12, 2013, a new appeal brought a flicker of hope. Police sought sightings of 2 white men seen near a blue Ford Capri parked by the Cardinal Wiseman School playing fields on the day Nicola disappeared. Witnesses described the men as being in their 40s or 50s, but the fog obscured further details. That same day, West Midlands Police announced a forensic breakthrough. Advanced tests on items from the 1991 investigation had identified Nicola's DNA on a tent bag, a chilling discovery after 22 years. The forensic lead set the stage for a dramatic turn in the investigation. 5 days after the breakthrough, at 8 a.m., police swooped in. Nigel Barwell, 49, of Copperas Street, Bell Green, and Thomas O'Reilly, 49, of Ribble Road, Stoke, both from Coventry and both brothers-in-law, are rearrested 22 years later on suspicion of abduction and murder. A 51-year-old woman from Bell Green was also arrested for perverting the course of justice, suggesting she may have obstructed the investigation. All 3 were taken to West Midlands police stations for questioning. The woman was released without charge on December 18, while Barwell and O'Reilly were bailed on December 20th, pending further investigation. The tent bag evidence was the cornerstone of their arrests, but whispers of contamination would soon cast a shadow over the case. On the 14th of February 2014, new information led police to a nature reserve off Dunrose Close in Binley, a secluded suburb of Coventry. Officers and forensics teams combed the area, hoping to uncover evidence of Nicola's fate. But the reserve held no answers. No remains, no items linked to her were found. Another potential disposal site ruled out in the relentless search. On the 3rd of March 2014, a 3-day operation unfolded at Coombe Abbey Country Park, a sprawling 500-acre site near Binley. Officers, cadaver dogs, and forensic specialists scoured the park, unearthing items of interest that were sent for analysis. What were they? Clothing, personal belongings, biological material? Police wouldn't say, and none were conclusively linked to Nicola. Detective Inspector Martin Slevin spoke grimly, stating that with no sightings since 1991, he feared the worst and believed Nicola was dead. Barwell and O'Reilly, their fates hanging in the balance, remained on bail. Then the case reached a pivotal moment. On January 27, 2015, Nigel Barwell and Thomas O'Reilly were formally charged with the abduction and murder of Nicola Payne, alleged to have occurred between December 13 and December 16, 1991. At Birmingham Magistrates Court, they were remanded in custody to await trial. The now 52-year-old woman was released without charge, cleared of involvement. Detective Chief Inspector Matt Markham called the charges a significant milestone, vowing to find Nicola's remains and deliver justice. On October 5, 2015, the trial of Barwell and O'Reilly opened at Birmingham Crown Court, a 6-week battle for truth in a case shrouded in mystery. The prosecution laid out a damning case. Hairs in a tent recovered from Barwell's garden 5 days after Nicola's disappearance were re-examined in 2014. 3 hairs were linked to Nicola, a statistician claiming they were 900 million times more likely to be hers than anyone else's, and 1 hair was tied to O'Reilly, implicating both men in her murder. The tent manual in Barwell's car. A manual for that same tent was found in the glove compartment of Barwell's blue Ford Capri in December 1991, a direct link to the chilling evidence. The witness sighting near River Sow. Louise Sandbrook testified to seeing Barwell and O'Reilly by the River Sow on December 14, 1991, standing beside Barwell's Capri with a full black bin bag, possibly the tent ground sheet hiding Nicola's body, the prosecution claimed. Then the dog walker's scream report. Patrick Carter, a dog walker near the Black Pad, heard a female scream that day after spotting a figure hiding in bushes near a school, a moment the prosecution tied to Nicola's abduction. The confessions to friends. Paul Southern and Matthew Brown recounted Barwell's chilling words. Southern heard him say in February 1992, "I wasn't playing about, I did that Payne bird," with O'Reilly adding, "You don't know the half of it." Brown claimed Barwell sought an alibi, admitting, "We have killed Nicola Payne." The false alibi. The prosecution alleged Barwell and O'Reilly lied about being stranded in Rugby with a broken-down Capri, a claim police contradicted with statements from officers who saw no sign of them there on December 14th or 15th, 1991. Then the pub incident motive. Scott Payne testified on October 15, 2015 that Nicola had confided in him mid-1991, angry and upset about Barwell and Michael Cook, trying it on with her at the Red Lion in Coventry, possibly during Michael's stag party. Scott confronted them, warning them to leave her alone, suggesting a sexual motive for the crime. The early suspect status. Barwell and O'Reilly were early suspects, arrested on December 17, 1991 and never cleared, a fact the prosecution used to underscore their guilt. But the trial took a darker turn. Scott Payne's testimony about the pub incident was challenged when Michael Cook took to the stand, denying he'd ever been to the Red Lion with Barwell or introduced Nicola to him. Mark Dennis QC, Barwell's counsel, labelled Scott's account a figment of imagination, leaving the jury with conflicting narratives and no independent evidence to settle the dispute. And on November 16, 2015, after 8 hours of deliberation over 3 days, the jury delivered their verdict: not guilty. Barwell and O'Reilly walked free. The prosecution's case had crumbled under the defense's relentless attack on the forensic evidence. Mark Dennis QC and Rachel Brand QC exposed the shambolic handling by West Midlands police. The tent wasn't logged for a month, stored in an unsealed bag for years, risking contamination. Key evidence like Nicola's hairbrush was lost in 2007, further eroding the case. Barwell and O'Reilly stuck to their alibi. They were in Rugby, 14 miles away, stranded by a broken-down Capri. The prosecution called it a lie, but the jury wasn't convinced. Barwell punched the air, mouthing "thank you very much" to the jury, while O'Reilly stood silent. In the public gallery, John Payne closed his eyes, overcome with emotion, as Nigel Payne spoke outside, his voice breaking. The family was devastated, their anguish over Nicola's unknown fate a wound that refused to heal. The search for answers continued. In November 2016, an 8-week operation in Coombe Abbey woodland uncovered a haunting lead. Detective Chief Inspector Martin Slevin revealed a witness who, on the day Nicola vanished, saw 2 men acting suspiciously in the area, moving hurriedly through the woods, possibly carrying something. The fog and distance obscured details, but the sighting fueled the theory that Coombe Abbey was a disposal site, a theory bolstered by a 2016 witness claiming Nicola was taken there. Yet no physical evidence emerged, leaving the lead as tantalizing as it was frustrating. Then, on January 26, 2018, another new witness emerged during a private investigation led by investigative journalist Mark Williams Thomas and Specialist Group International. A woman living near the Black Pad revealed a chilling memory that on December 14, 1991, around 12:30 p.m., she saw a struggle involving a young woman matching Nicola's description and 2 men. She heard raised voices, saw one man restraining the woman, then watched them vanish into the fog. Fear kept her silent for years, but renewed appeals spurred her to speak. Her account, though uncorroborated, echoed the 1991 Scream report and 2 men sighting, painting a grim picture of violence on the Black Pad. In February 2020, a fresh tip led police back to the Oxford Canal between Coventry and Rugby, a stretch searched in 2001. Specialist underwater teams using sonar and divers scoured the canal bed for evidence. A local resident's memory surfaced during this appeal. On December 14 or 15, 1991, they saw a middle-aged man with a distinctive limp walking the towpath, a dog at his side carrying a heavy sack. The fog obscured clarity, and no items were recovered to confirm the sighting, leaving it a speculative lead that questioned the thoroughness of initial searches. Once again, the canal gave up nothing. In February 2021, on the 30th anniversary of Nicola's disappearance, her family gathered at the Black Pad for a vigil, the desolate path a haunting monument in her last moments. Nigel Payne, her brother, led the plea for information, his voice heavy with grief. They longed to recover Nicola's remains, to give their parents peace. On the 7th of March 2023, Marilyn Payne, Nicola's mother, passed away at 77, her heart heavy with 32 years of unanswered questions. Described in a social media post as a tenacious woman, she had been the driving force in the search, never giving up hope of laying her daughter to rest. Her death was a poignant loss, a mother who never found the closure she fought so hard for. In October 2024, a video surfaced reigniting the case's chilling questions. Investigative journalist Mark Williams Thomas confronted Nigel Barwell, alleging he was at the Cook household on Winston Avenue the morning of December 14, 1991. The claim suggested Barwell had direct contact with Nicola, Jason, and Owen that day, a potential window for abduction or planning. The allegation echoed trial testimony from Paul Southern and Matthew Brown, who claimed Barwell confessed to the killing and sought alibis. Barwell's defense had dismissed such claims as nonsense, but the video kept the specter of his involvement alive, unverified but unsettling. And then on the 9th of January 2025, Nigel Payne made a heart-wrenching announcement on what would have been Nicola's 52nd birthday. The family was closing social media pages dedicated to the search. "It will never go away. The dates are always in my head," Nigel said, his words a testament to the enduring pain. They were shifting focus to their well-being, the emotional strain too heavy after 33 years. Yet they clung to a fragile hope that someone might come forward, or Nicola's remains might be found by chance. West Midlands Police confirmed the case remains open, with Detective Superintendent Sean Edwards vowing to review new opportunities, though no active leads exist as of this date. Nicola Payne's laughter may have faded into the fog of that December day in 1991, but her memory burns bright in the hearts of those who loved her. A devoted mother, a spirited young woman, a light extinguished far too soon. As the black pad stands silent, her family holds on to hope, yearning for the day that they can lay her to rest. In memory of Nicola, we keep her story alive, a whispered plea for answers in a mystery that refuses to let go. Thank you for watching and listening to Nicola's story. Please feel free to add your own thoughts, comments, and theories in the comments section below, and we'll see you next time.